this regular meeting of the Goose Creek CISD Board of Trustees to order. The time is now 6:09 p.m. Mrs. Guy, was the meeting properly posted?
It was.
And do we have a quorum?
We do.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to welcome everyone tonight for what will be a very historic meeting, hopefully, and a very exciting meeting for not only Goose Creek, but all of our community. So thank you for coming. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Jackson for opening exercises.
Thank you. So good evening, President Campisi, Dr. O'Brien, and board members. Tonight's opening exercises will be presented by the students from Horace Mann Junior School. We will begin the opening ceremony with a prayer led by Mr. Sampson, following by the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge by Kristen Hall. Will everyone please rise and remain risen until the pledges are complete?
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Well, everyone please bow their heads. If you got hats on, take them off, please. Hold on one second.
Come on, Mr. Sampson.
All right, you beat me. Oh, Father, who art in heaven, I thank you for this blessing of everyone's that here. God bless us that we make keen and precise decisions. Father, thank you for the strength you give us each and every day. Thank you for our district and the strength you give our district every day. Father, bless our parents to guide their young ones in a straight and positive way. Bless our young ones to listen to their parents and follow in their path. Father, we thank you for tonight. Thank you for everyone who made it here safe. And Father, make everyone's trip home even safer. In Christ Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
You may be seated. Select students will be performing the song called Carol of the Bells. Those students are Katiana Alexis, Kimberly Garcia Montelevo, Maria Rivera, Alana Jenkins, Skylar Thomas, Montserrat Valdez, Yastardi Rangel, Jalen Ortiz, Liliana Cepeda, Ariana Cruz, Jersey Dibbler, Olivia Dela Cruz, Caden Edinburgh, Selena Tarver, and Natalie Theodore. If we have any parents, could you stand and be recognized? At this time, we are ready for our recognitions and acknowledgements. I would first like to ask Leah Miller, CTE Director, to come up and do a CTE recognition of the Port of Houston donation to Maritime Program.
Dr. Jackson, I believe we can hold up on that just a moment. We have a few more items to cover before we do recognitions and acknowledgements.
Correct. I apologize, Dr. Jackson. This meeting will be a little bit different. We're going into closed session 2 times, followed by, or prior to that, we'll have a public hearing. And before that, we'll move on to item number 3 on the agenda, citizens participation. Ms. Garcia, you've indicated we have 1 person signed up to speak. Citizens participation is the time that the board will hear public concerns or public comments from those who have properly signed up to address the board. At regular board meetings, the board shall permit public comment regardless of whether the topic is an item on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. General public comment is limited to no more than 30 minutes per meeting. At all other board meetings, public comment shall be limited to open session items on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. Each speaker is reminded that he or she is limited in his or her presentation to a maximum of 3 minutes, which can be further limited or reduced by the presiding officer, and that he or she should respect the confidentiality concerns and refrain from attacking the personal character of any individual student, staff member, or board member in addressing concerns or comments. Pursuant to state law and board policy BE Legal, the board cannot consider or take action on concerns at this meeting unless they pertain to an item on the posted agenda for this meeting. Any deliberation or decision on an item that is not posted for consideration at this meeting shall be limited to a proposal to place the subject on the agenda of a future meeting. Our speaker today is Katrina Lanier. If you would, please approach the podium to your right. You'll be given 3 minutes. Our secretary, Mrs. Guy, will keep time. When 1 minute remains, she will let you know by just saying 1 minute. At the end of 3 minutes, we'll ask you to stop and we'll move on. Thank you so much. You may begin when you're ready. Please begin by introducing yourself and the topic you're speaking on.
I'm Katrina Lanier, representing I9 Sports Youth Organization. Is this better? Okay, so I'm Katrina Lanier. I'm representing I9 Sports, which is a youth sports organization that we operate here in Baytown. I'm here to speak on 2 things. First, I'll try to make this really quickly. The first thing I want to speak in reference to is a invoice balance that is being stated that I9 owes, that we currently have been cleared up and not showing that we owe anything. We're just asking that the board review evidence again and provide an update of what is being stated that I9 is owing. My husband, Otis Lanier, who's also the co-owner of this organization, has also had an initial meeting in reference to these funds. And so we were told that this unpaid balance was due to like rental fees. However, we had none that was associated with the organization. So we just would like the board to take review of those and give an update on that, as that hasn't been addressed. The second issue is in reference to flyers. Since this issue has been going on, we haven't had an issue to market our flyers in the school district to be able to continue to give the kids a place to play. And then since then, it's been something that came up that we were told that an individual, and you said I couldn't list any names, had called the Student Service Community Flyers Department and informed them to reject our flyers from being distributed to any Goose Creek school. So we've been unable to inform the schools of the organization and information about us to keep running. And the way we got started here is that we were LCA was our organization of youth sports, to where we is a nonprofit and we help get youth kids who are underprivileged, cannot afford to play, a place to play. And so that's how this organization, I'm sorry?
1 minute.
Okay, that's how this organization came to Baytown, as they didn't have a place here that had all the youth sports that we have to offer, so that way we can financially support some of those families to be able to play in some of these sports. And so we're just asking for that to be reviewed so that our flyers can be placed here in the Goose Creek schools. That way that we can advise to the parents and kids that we are still here in the organization to provide them a place to play. Just want to say that I know that our mayor, Charles Johnson, has been a part of this organization since we started, and a big help to us as well, and continue to support us in helping the kids. So those are the two issues that I wanted to bring forward to ask if you guys can take a look and review and get back to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lanier.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item number 4, public hearing, which is the School First Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas report for fiscal year 2023-2024 from the Texas Education Agency.
Welcome, Ms. Price.
Hello.
So before you get started, Ms. Price, I'd like to make a note that this is a public hearing. The public is invited to come up and speak after the presentation and address the board. To do so, we ask that you approach the podium and speak into the microphone clearly so your comments can be noted and recorded. Ms. Price, you may proceed. Thank you.
Good evening, President Campisi, Board of Trustees, Superintendent O'Brien, and guests. Tonight, we will have the public hearing to overview the 2025 Financial Integrity Ratings Schools Ratings of Texas, which is based off the 23-24 financial data. The School First is the state's financial accountability system. The goal is to ensure that schools provide the maximum allocation to instruction, and it evaluates how well school districts manage public funds. The system is designed to be simple and consistent statewide. The ratings are based on actual financial data, and it identifies early warning signs and promotes transparency. The scores range from superior achievement to substandard. The goal is to meet or exceed the state financial standards. For this year's rating, there were 21 indicators, of which one that was not scored by the state. The district, we continually perform high. We received a maximum points on 18 of the 20 indicators that were being scored. There are 3 categories of indicators. The first being critical indicators, which focus on audit compliance and reporting timeliness. They ensure that the district meets all required financial standards. Any failure in this category results in an automatic rating impact. So if you don't meet any of the ratings in this category, you automatically fail. The next category is the solvency indicators. It measures the district's overall financial health. It evaluates the cash flow, the fund balance, debt, and efficiency. And together they reflect long-term financial stability. The last category, financial competency, focuses on accuracy, financial integrity, and compliance. They also address transparency and funding weaknesses. Here is a screenshot of the actual ratings indicators, the questions, the 21 questions, and the scores for the current scoring year and the previous year. And as you can see, both years we have 96 as our score. So with that, Goose Creek, we earned the Superior Achievement 23 consecutive years in a row since the inception of the first rating. which shows that we have long-term financial strength and responsible management. Any questions?
Thank you. First, we'll entertain questions from the board and then open it up to the public. Or comments.
On the first slide, it had like one indicator. Go back to that one. Keep going. Right there.
Yes, ma'am.
One indicator not scored. What was that?
The one indicator that was not scored this year, I'm sorry, I didn't write that
It's
one
usually
down.
due to a change in the way they score or something like that. They give a year of grace before they hold you accountable to a new category that they might
Oh, it's a new category.
add or change to. I don't know for sure, but that's usually why something would not be scored, or it's a statewide decision for all districts not to score a particular domain. One of the other things is that we've done so well for 23 years in a row, as she said, received superior rating, but the future indicates that there'll be more indicators, and so it'll be more and more challenging as we move forward based upon what we're hearing from the Texas Education Agency.
Okay.
The one indicator, it was the net position.
It was what now?
Our net position
Oh,
as a
okay.
district.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. What are the two that we did not receive the max points?
The two that we did not receive the max points on was our long-term liabilities, where they look at the district's long-term, our debt compared to our total assets. We were slightly above where we should have been. And the second one was our district administrative cost to student ratio.
Gotcha.
Any other board members? As I said prior to this is a public hearing, so the public is invited to address the board and ask questions about this item. If you have anything, please address the podium at this time.
Thank you. Very interested in the financial reports because that was my background. A couple of things. I am worried about the indicator where we continue to be a little top heavy in the administration and what we're doing. In the past, for the past 23 years, we've had a growth in the school district. And with the Rice University study, we now know that we'll have a flat to downward growth in the district, causing a significant change in the challenges we have financially, as well as we've been blessed with a lot of industry growth, which currently looks like it's going to peel off based upon the economic trends. So although this is very good, my challenge is, and my question is, what are we going to do to have better managerial accounting, not financial, but managerial accounting and internal controls, so we can actually understand the programs and how much each program is costing and the net value of that program, so we can determine which one is actually adding value and which one is not. So my question is, I understand where TEA is going. It's looking at not only your financial position, but your internal controls. The second point I would like to make is we still do not have internal audits other than just, we don't have an internal auditor, which for a large organization, my understanding is we don't. Is that not correct? We proposed it several times. And looking at where we are at and the discipline that we need, it's very hard for me to understand how someone can come in and rate us without somebody looking over and making sure that the person that's looking at the rating is actually doing it correctly. So if we could have a little understanding of why we don't have an internal audit mechanism, which is a standard for most businesses and a requirement by law for most businesses, why we have decided as a large organization with a multi-million-dollar budget that we don't have internal audits that go report directly to the board outside of the normal channels of the management.
We have joining us our CFO, Ms.
Yes.
Bridget Clark.
Yes, sir, thank you. So while we don't have a formal internal audit department, we do conduct internal audits, and a lot of it revolves around cash and compliance. You might want to elaborate on some of the audits that we perform, just to share.
A lot of our audits will routinely go into campuses. We have an actual compliance accountant that goes out on campuses, check to ensure that our internal controls for cash handling are being applied and adhered to. Also within our purchasing process, we check to make sure that we're doing procurement processes correctly and not circumventing those processes and getting the purchase orders in place prior to those purchases and securing cash and everything.
Thank you. Just one specification. The reason that internal audits were actually first introduced in the United States, since I was a member of the Institute of Internal Auditors for over 35 years, was an independent look outside of the compliance officers. It was someone that was directly reporting to the board and no one in the financial or the management. And that was so that they would have the independence to identify opportunities for improvement, as well as identify significant risks to the organization. And I still feel that we are lacking in that area specifically. Compliance officers are a wonderful part of an internal control scheme, but an internal audit is very different than a compliance officer. Very different. And I think we need to challenge ourselves in doing that. The second piece, again, is the overhead we have. We've talked about money a lot of times, and very seldom have we talked about the ratio of our overhead to our classroom support. And one of the key things that you look at in management control is that ratio. What we found is that the more managers you have, the more work they produce on the people on the ground level. And that's just basic 101 management. So I think we need to challenge ourselves in looking at how many managers we have and how much they're producing work for our people in the classrooms that's actually taking away time from our teachers to teach. So that's just a statement. You don't need to answer that question. That's a statement. But I think that is a legitimate challenge for Goose Creek, because we have been one of the wealthiest and well-funded districts for many, many years. And we will be challenged going forward, especially if we have to create a bond, knowing that we now have a liability problem with our assets.
And this may not answer your proposal directly, but the budget process, we start about 6 months out before adoption of a budget, the board does, with not only our CFO, but also our human resources work together with this and identifying, as you've mentioned, any positions or eligibility for top-heavy scrutinization. And so over the last 3 years specifically, we've used the attrition model, and we've reduced our administrative staff significantly more than we've reduced teaching staff in regards to per ratio, the number that were, the number that are, and so forth. So I just wanted to share that it is not, although it's not an audit, it's a process that is in place between HR and our CFO to address those, any overages that we might find. One of the things that was discovered was we had TLCs were listed as administrators, and they're not. They're on a teacher contract, but they work in the teacher to support the classroom, but because they were not teaching or had a roster of students assigned to them, rather they had teachers they supported, but they floated into the class and floated out. They were incorrectly identified as administration. So we come across things like that, and we make those corrections as we go, and we level up and get a little bit more sure financial responsibility in our reports.
And I would just add that it has remained stable for, at least since I've been here almost 5 years, that it's remained in the 8 out of 10. We did add support during COVID. And so also you just have to remember that this data is from year-end fiscal 2024. So we're a little lagging in the first report data that it's based on. But it has remained stable, and we did add supports during COVID, and that, we still remain stable, but we will be continuing these talks during budget.
So I think one of the things we need to address is the budgetary process. The budgetary process, as I understand, is you use what's called the character of expense approach, which is looking at major categories of cost. As you do managerial accounting and managerial audit, one of the things you look at is combining the character of expense approach, which is your labor, maintenance, and everything else, with your organizational chart. How the organization and the processes are being stewarded within each of the organization. I've been here 3 years, and not once has that been addressed in these meetings, where we can go and say, special education is costing us X, fine arts is costing us X, and it's funding X number of students and their education. And this is where we've gone over the last 4 years with that funding, and this is the number of students that are being helped in that. I know that's a stretch for us because that's a little different way of approaching the budgetary process, but having done that for other organizations, that two-step approach of organizational as well as character of expense is a key control in a cash short environment. And I think that's what we're going into. I will just say, you've done a really good job with the financials. It's really good. It's excellent. I think we need to change a little bit to be much more accountable driven by organization and process, mainly because the spread of programs we have is very broad. We have a lot of different programs going on in this district compared with other districts, and we should be proud of that. But at some point, we're going to have to be very careful of which one we continue to fund and which one we cut, and be very honest with the numbers with the community of how we do that. So,
thank you, Mr.
Thank
Minson.
you.
Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Let it go for another 30 seconds or so.
No, we're good.
Seeing no other speakers approaching the podium to speak, we will close this public hearing at this time.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all. The next item on the agenda is closed session. The board will now recess into closed session pursuant to one or more of the following sections of Texas Government Code, specifically 551.071 and 551.074. No action will be taken while the board is in closed session. The time is now 6:37 p.m. The board will now reconvene into open session. The time is now 7:10 p.m. No action was taken while the board was in closed session. Let the record show we do still have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is item number 7. Consider and take action to hire a superintendent of schools, approve employment and relocation agreement.
I move that the board approve the employment agreement and moving/relocation expenses agreement as discussed in closed session.
And I second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Guy and a second by Mrs. Brat-Timms to approve the employment agreement and relocation agreement as discussed in closed session. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the employment agreement and relocation agreement, please signify by raising your hand at this time. Let the record show this is a unanimous vote. Congratulations, Dr. Rodriguez. Dr. Rodriguez, at this time, if you would like to come up and say a few words. And I'd like to say on behalf of the Goose Creek Board of Trustees, welcome to Goose Creek in Baytown, Texas.
Well, I appreciate that, Mr. President. I just want to say I thank you to all the board members. I have spent the last 6 days here and traveling the many different roads, attending many different events, and of course, meeting many wonderful community members, staff members, actually a few students as well. And I am excited. I'm ready to get started. I said this the very first time. I do want to thank Dr. O'Brien. Clearly has hired just an amazing staff. There is so much passion, so much enthusiasm, and I have to publicly thank Dr. O'Brien once again for everything that he's done. Every single person that I have met has that passion and literally ties into the model. And I'm just excited, ready to get moving. And there's a transitional period that I have over there on at the other district, but I'm ready to come over here to this area. So thank you once again, trustees. Thank you, Mr. President. And of course, Mr. Thompson is in the back. Mr. Thompson did put in a lot of time, his firm did, ensuring that there was a fair process. So once again, thank you very much.
If I could have a point of personal privilege, please.
Absolutely, and I was going to allow each of the board members to have a moment to speak now.
Okay, well, thank you. I jumped the gun. As you all know, the board spent lots of hours in this search, but a lot of our teammates out here in the audience did probably more hours than we did, if the truth be known. But Mr. Campisi spent probably twice the hours that any other board member did in negotiations and contract study, and his phone's been glued to his ear literally for weeks now, and I want to thank him for all of his extra effort getting us to this point.
Thank you, Mr. Clem. I truly appreciate that. I want to back up a few months ago when this board made a promise to our community that this was going to be transparent, integrity would be strong, and we would listen to our community. And I feel like we've done that, and I've done that well. That's been my driving force behind this. I'm sure my family will be happy to see me go home and actually be a family man again for a little bit. But it was truly my pleasure to do so. Before I turn it over to the rest of the board to make comments, I do want to thank David Thompson and Dr. Moses on behalf of the district, your leadership, the detail you provided, the guidance made this process smooth. And everything I was able to do was because of the leadership y'all provided in the process, and it was a great experience. Like Vice President Clem said, it took many, many, many hours. Mr. Thompson and I are on speed dial, but it's worked out. I feel we have the very best superintendent that I said we would bring to Goose Creek. With that, I'd like to turn it over to the board to make a few comments.
I'll go. I'm not, everybody know me, I'm not filled with a lot of words. That's a joke, you know. But I want to welcome, I call him Dr. Joe, but I think we did a great job in picking our new superintendent. I hope the people in the audience will get to know him on a very professional basis, plus a personal basis. And I've been on the board and I've been through some superintendents. So, and right now I feel that we did a great job in the picking of this superintendent. I have no regrets. I have no questions because I put all of my faith in God himself when we was picking these individuals that we picked. But we wind up with a person who is a man of God and a family man. And that's what's important for this district. like I always preach, there's only one thing that I'm concerned with is children, kids, students, teachers, administrators, Goose Creek. And as we have our motto, we grow giants, we gonna grow some giants right now. And thank you again, Dr. Joe, for falling this way. And I do love Fredericksburg, I'm telling you. But that's what I got from me.
Okay. Again, everyone, thank you. I do thank Jim and everyone on the board. It was a major undertaking, and one that many long nights that we all endured together. But Dr. Rodriguez, as you stood out to us, I feel that we selected a proven leader, you guys, that we have coming to our district. And he has the ability to inspire. And speaking to individuals from his area, when we made some phone calls, he inspired so many individuals there. And I think that's what we're going to look forward to having you here for that reason. Also, we just know that our district will continue to flourish under your leadership. So thank you, and we appreciate you coming to Goose Creek.
I would like to repeat everybody's sentiments thus far. Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. I also agree that we made a great choice, I think, and also thank the board for all of our countless hours in this search, and thank you, Jim, because I accost him all the time while he's at work to, talk to him and ask him for his opinions and advice and just the whole process, through the whole process. So thank you.
I'll just say welcome. I'm excited. I'm excited after everybody in this room is able to go home and get a little bit of rest to come back refreshed in January and get to work. So that's really it.
Yeah, I can echo the same things they're saying. Dr. Rodriguez was the unanimous pick. He is the right choice for Baytown. I think that Heavenly Father sent him our way. I don't know why he would want to leave that area to come to Baytown, but he's here. And we're thankful for that. And hopefully, time will tell. Time will tell. But I really do believe we made the right choice. And I think in time we will tell. And the kids and academics and everything else will also improve, I hope and I pray. And again, just like Mr. Sampson said, we're here for the kids, and this is why we made this choice.
Thank you, everyone, especially for the kind words towards me. I want to be clear, this was not me doing this. This was a team. It was the team of 7 that actually really came together. I've enjoyed working with each and every one of you in this process. We all contributed a lot to it, and it truly was a group process that I am proud of, and I am proud to be a Goose Creek trustee. As Mr. Renteria said, I believe we've made the right choice, and the right choice came to Goose Creek. Thank you so much for that. At this time, before Dr. Rodriguez leaves the room, I'm going to call a short recess so we can take care of some documents. Probably won't last more than about 5 or 10 minutes. We will stand in recess. The time is 7:20 p.m. We'll reconvene back to order and back to our regular meeting. Before we proceed, though, I want to recognize 2 more people that were extremely important in this process. Earlier at a previous meeting, Vice President Clem spoke about us staying up way past our bedtime, and we did. But there were 2 ladies that spent every evening with us, and well past the time trustees went home, these 2 ladies stayed with us or stayed up here to make sure the work was done. And that is Noemi Garcia and Vicki Ashley. thank you for your service in this endeavor. Without y'all, we could not have done what we did. So thank you. And before we move on, Dr. Jackson, I'm coming back to you real shortly. Dr. O'Brien, it's official.
Oh, wow.
It is official. I want to give you the time to take a few minutes and talk to us. This is Dr. O'Brien's final board meeting, and quite a milestone. I've said a lot of words myself before, and I don't want to do that today. I want to give you the opportunity.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to the Board of Trustees. I'm very proud of the work that you've done as a board, coming together, coalesce to remain focused on children and what we can do for them. I wanted to say welcome to Dr. Rodriguez. You should consider, you had a 7-0 vote and you haven't made any mistakes. You should consider resignment tonight. You've not made anyone mad. No. Welcome. We're so happy to have you, and I have been privileged to spend a little bit of time with Dr. Rodriguez, driving him around, showing him around the district a little bit. And I can vouch, he's a good man, and I think well-suited to step into this seat and lead our district. There's a couple of rules I've learned over the course of my tenure. One is the rule about everyone knows about holes. If you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. The other one is, Dr. Rodriguez, is if you're the leader and you look over your shoulder and no one's there, you're not leading anyone. So remember that it's our children is the reason we're here. Our staff are who works with our children most directly, and our job is to support them in every way we possibly can from this building. We have 100 people in this building, and many of them don't have exposure to the students, and I have to say, it was a blessed week this week. We have the 12 days of Christmas in which the students come to our building and dance and sing and cheer and bring holiday spirit to our building, and our workers are so thankful for that. But based upon what I've gotten to know from you, sir, your focus is already spot on. You were inheriting a wonderful staff, a wonderful executive team that has been assembled, and I think all the dominoes are lined up for you to have success, sir. So I wish you well, and in the hard times, keep your nose down and keep plugging ahead. It's hard to explain what it's like having 7 bosses to anyone who's not had 7 bosses before. But it can be challenging at times, but only because each one of us up here are passionate about serving children, passionate about getting it right, passionate about ensuring that every taxpayer's dollar is spent appropriately to provide the highest quality education possible for all children. And I'm proud to say that I'm sitting here having heard a few references tonight to God, the Almighty, and the divine intervention that I think it takes to be a school board member, to receive that guidance, to deliver as a superintendent of school in many of the positions across our district. I'm thankful. I'm grateful for the support that I've received from this community to serve as superintendent of schools, grateful for the staff, and specifically the teachers who are doing the work day in and day out, working with our children, making a difference in their lives, changing the trajectory of their lives, which is what we do. Community members not present tonight, those that are present, I would just ask you to consider how you can support Goose Creek CISD, whether it's a volunteerism or whatever it may be, running for school board, becoming employed with the district. How can you support our mission, which is to educate our children of this community and educate society in general? I cannot clearly articulate how grateful and how appreciative I am for the opportunity to have served for the last 12 or 13 years. It's been my pleasure, and thank you, Board of Trustees, once again for extending that position to me, and thank you to my team for being there to support me and to carry out my wildest dreams and my silly notions of innovation and making them a reality. Thank y'all. Appreciate the opportunity. Wow. Okay, you can't resign now.
Thank you, Dr. O'Brien. We will now move on. For those that have lost their place on the agenda, we are on item number 8, recognitions and acknowledgements, and I'll turn it back over to Dr. Jackson.
Are you sure I can go now?
I'm sure.
Okay. So as we continue our celebrations tonight, I would like to ask Leah Miller to come up, and she is going to be announcing our CTE recognition for the Port of Houston donation to our maritime program.
All right. Good evening, President Campisi, Dr. O'Brien, and members of the board. The CTE department is proud to recognize Port Houston for their generous $7,500 donation to the maritime program. This contribution directly enhances our students' learning experiences by providing resources that prepare them for the success in the maritime industry. We are honored to have a representative from Port Houston joining us this evening. At this time, I would like to recognize Jackie Young Hall and thank her for her continued support and partnership with our district. We are grateful for Port Houston's commitment to our students and for investing in a program that connects education with real-world career opportunities. Thank you, Port Houston, for your partnership.
At this time, I would like to ask Matt Flood and Ray Levant to come up and do our recognition for our Christmas card design winner.
Good evening, Dr. O'Brien, Board of Trustees. The Goose Creek CISD Fine Arts Department is proud to recognize the winner of the 2025-2026 Christmas Card Contest. This talented young artist has created an exceptional design that will represent our district on this year's official Christmas card. Our winner this year is Miss Serenity Malone. She is in 5th grade and she is at Carver Elementary. She is joined by her teacher, Mr. Harry Barber, and I would like to congratulate her one more time for her creativity and hard work, and we also extend our appreciation to Mr. Barber and her family for supporting and encouraging her artistic talents. And we're also joined by the very proud principal, Ms. Erica Smith. There you go. Give her a big round of applause, too.
At this time, I'll turn it back over to you, President Campese and Dr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. We'll move on to item number 9, approval of minutes. Before I read them off, are there any that we need to bring up separately? I believe everyone was in attendance at every one.
I believe that on October 15th, is that the one that Mr. Renteria was not here?
I was looking at that myself. Let me look at it real quick.
That's the only correction I think I found.
I think he had a conflict. Work or something.
I think.
That is correct. Before we take that correction, I'll go ahead and take the first one, 9A, separately. Approval of minutes, October 15th, 2025, special board meeting. May I have a motion? I have a motion by Vice President Clem, a second by Mrs. Brott-Timms to approve October 15th, 2025, special board meeting minutes. At this time, I'll open it for discussion and corrections.
With the correction of Mr. Renteria not being here.
Are there any other corrections? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by raising your hand. Any opposed and any abstentions? Let the record show 6-4, 0 against, 1 abstention. Is the board okay with me taking B through H in whole? All right. So I'll call for approval for the minutes for October 21st, 2025, special board meeting. October 22nd, 2025, special board meeting. October 23rd, 2025, special board meeting. October 28th, 2025, special board meeting. October 29th, 2025, special board meeting. November 10th, 2025, regular board meeting. November 20th, 2025, special board meeting. Those are items 9B through H.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Clem and a second by Mr. Sampson. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by a show of hands. Let the record show 7-4, none against. The motion carries unanimously. At this time, we'll move on over to item number 10, discussion items, superintendent reports. I'll turn it over to you, Dr. O'Brien.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, we have 3 this evening, including campus data update, GCCISD DOI teacher phase-out plan, and number 3, financial report. We'll start off with the campus data update. I'll just ask that each presenter speak into the microphone when you introduce yourself and what campus you represent and or what department you represent.
And your new boss is watching and listening, so just saying.
Okay, good evening again. I know it's been a long time since you heard from me, but I'm back. So we are going to do something a little different tonight, and so I encourage you to ask questions and help us to give you exactly what you're wanting, and so ensure that we are clear and there's no clear as mud going on here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to really talk about where we are, where we came from. We're only going to be looking at domain 1, which means all schools, or not schools, all students and all tests. So we want to know what's going on with tier 1. We're not going to bank on growth. We're not banking on relative growth. We are looking at actual scores, where we are. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to give it to Ms. Felucci, and she is going to go through the assessment types. You have all of the assessments. We have a link that we've given you that's we're going to be dumping live data in there every time we get a result so that you know exactly what's going on. But we want to make sure you're going to see some areas that look amazing. understand that when we're talking about these bluebonnet assessments, we're going to reiterate this. I'm going to say it. Sarah's going to say it, that we are talking small unit assessments. So January, when we come back and we have all the benchmark data for in the MOIs, that's going to give us even a clearer picture. So don't just assume if you see a campus that has extreme growth, I don't want you to get excited yet. This is, we taught the subject, now we're testing the subject. So short term, it should be better. So it's some highlights, but I don't want you leaving thinking, wow, this is what it's going to be. I want us to take data as they come and look at it as a whole picture. Make sense? Okay, all right.
Thank you for having me this evening, Sarah Felucci, Elementary Director of Curriculum and Instruction. And so we're just going to highlight a couple of the data points that we use and that you will see information about throughout the year in the data folders that we've gathered. So first, we always start off sort of looking at the spring of the previous school year's assessments for STAR. And so that's obviously given annually. It's also retested for those end of course exams. And then whenever we're looking at these different types of assessments, we're really looking to answer some questions for ourselves. So when it comes to the spring 2025 data, what this kind of helps to answer is the question, did the student demonstrate mastery on last year's content? And so it's a comprehensive STAR assessment going through the whole year. It doesn't test every standard, but it does give us a good idea if the student mastered what are considered like the most essential skills for that content and grade. We also have screeners, and you'll see your screener data included in the Domain 1 data that you look at. We've only given the BOY, the beginning of the year assessment so far. And so what does that BOY answer for us? It answers the question, does the student have essential skills needed for this grade? All right, and so the thing about the BOY, especially this year, that's really helpful and somewhat fascinating is that we had a lot of students move campuses, right, with the rezoning, and it's really important for all of us and our administrators to understand who they have now, not just who they had before in their classes, and the screeners help us with that. We also have what are known as common assessments. It says 2 weeks up here, but sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes it's 4 weeks. It depends on how big the unit is, on how big the module is. But that question that we get to assess with common assessments is, did the student learn and retain skills taught in a module or in a unit? And that's what Ms. Jackson was talking about. These are smaller bursts. We expect the kiddos to do better on those than they may even do on the real STAR test, because I'm just testing what I just taught, whereas STAR is testing anything throughout the whole school year. And so that gets to semester exams and benchmarks. We give those 1 to 2 times a year, depending on the grade, and that answers the question, how well has a student mastered and retained major concepts taught across the semester or year? So whereas a unit assessment is just saying, here, how did the student do on these few standards I just taught? This is looking at any number of skills taught throughout the school, throughout the semester or the school year, depending on which semester we're administering it. So when you're looking at your data, you're going to see a variety of, I believe at the top in the header, it will tell you, did this have screener data in it? Did it have unit assessments? Did it have both? And so we just wanted to make sure you had clarity over what those assessments were testing for. So does anybody have any questions about types of assessments?
Ms. Felucci, if you could just share, for the audience's sake, your acronyms. BOY, MOY,
the
EOY.
BOY is the beginning of year, MOY is the middle of the year, and the EOY is the end of the year. So we've only administered the BOY beginning of year screener at this point. We'll give the MOY the middle of year in January. And so that was what Ms. Jackson was talking about, Dr. Jackson was talking about, is that's where we're gonna get a really good idea of how much value our instruction added to students the first semester. And so we're really excited to see what the middle of year data shows for our screeners. So any other questions?
I have a question.
Okay. Yes,
Will we
ma'am.
get can we get an email anytime y'all are uploading data into that?
We can do,
platform,
I mean, anything
just so we
that
know
you
to go
need.
look at it.
Yeah, we can
because
do
we're
anything you
probably
need. You would
not gonna-
probably, I mean, it might even be healthy if we're going to do that to just send the weekly email, because the unit assessments would be weekly. I mean, because it's not like we're just giving the ELA ones only, right? The English language arts ones only. We may have ELA this week, we may have math next week. So you would just sort of weekly have an update that something new has been added. But we can do that if you'd like.
Mr. Flood, did you hear the question?
I'm not sure that.
Can an email be sent to a board member when anything is added to the file?
Something we can automate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I don't know about everybody else, but I don't know that I need unit test data, but like the common assessments or I guess the unit tests are common assessments.
Yes, ma'am.
But the benchmarks, middle of the year, and end of beginning year, middle year, end of year stuff, like your stuff that's really going to tell you how they're doing, right?
So when we get the screener, the MOI, and we do finished benchmarks, we can send you those.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're going to get an email because you may have third grade one day and fourth grade one day and fifth grade, and you all have it by grade levels. But I hear what you're saying, more of an assessment over time. Perfect. Got you. Okay, so what we have are the first 3 campuses that we want to look at, and we have the administrators here. We're going to give them a chance to have a voice. And then we have our area executive director and, of course, myself and Ms. Fushi if y'all have any questions on curriculum. So where we ended on Asheville Smith, you can see where we started, 24-25, that's domain 1. And then our BOY and CUAs, that's where we were. They take into account like a cumulative of that. So that was looking good with their BOY and their first unit assessment. And then you'll notice in November, we have another unit assessment and it looks better. The BOI is not included in that category because we'll wait till the next month and get the MOI in that. So I will turn it over to you, Lacey.
Hi, good evening. My name is Lacey Gordon, and I'm the principal at Asheville Smith Elementary. And so what I wanted to share with you this afternoon is a celebration. If you can see, of course, we have been on the up and up all year, so we have plenty of things to celebrate, but I wanted to really bring tonight about our 4th grade math. Our teachers have been working really, really hard, and for the most part, our 4th grade math is performing above the state or at the state level this year. And so that's something really that we're excited to share with this evening. And the opportunity. Because we are a targeted campus for our special education population, myself along with our special education teachers decided, hey, we need to target our special education students. And so how we're doing that this year is we're really meeting the students where they are. We're allowing the students to track their own data so they're aware of where they are, and teachers are using that data to instruct what are we going to do next. And so we feel that that is just a really great opportunity for our growth this year.
Any question for Ms. Gordon?
I have a question, sorry. So can you kind of tell us a little bit about what you all have done to help improve your math scores and hopefully some of your other scores as well?
So to be completely honest, my 4th grade team I have some phenomenal teachers in 4th grade. So because of due to rezoning, we have expanded. And so with the new curriculum, our teachers are really just gravitating, doing the internalization and really targeting the students, all kids in every class. And so we're really just targeting our tier 1 instruction.
Okay. So just being intentional.
Very.
Okay.
Dr. Conklin, would you use a microphone, please, for the benefit of the recording?
One thing that she's not giving herself credit for, we've been working together on is coaching cycles with her teachers, and she's been very specific on the feedback that she's giving. She's going through a full coaching cycle with teachers, working on specific things such as like aggressive monitoring or strategic monitoring, and she's really modeling that for her staff. So I think that's had a huge impact. I know Karen is doing the same thing with her principals, and so that, if you're asking for specific strategies, that when the principal's getting into that classroom and modeling and then bringing them in, coaching, giving them feedback, and then going back in the classroom to make sure that they're doing what they talked about, that's pretty impactful.
That's huge. It is. So, okay, I have just one more question. Is there anything you feel like you need to help your campus and have you asked for it?
I can honestly say anytime I need anything, phone call away.
Okay.
So I can't say that I need anything in particular. We've been working with Region 4 as well. And
Okay.
so I think we're in our second year of that. And so we're
Okay.
really just embracing everything that we've learned from Region 4. So there's not anything that I just need. I mean, we're on the up and up.
Good, good. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Leah Abbott, and you can discuss your scores, Leah.
So Leah Abbott, principal at Days of Allah Elementary. One of our celebrations this year is that we have more students achieving meets and masters on grade level assessments. As Sarah said, those are short snippets of time, things that we've taught, and then we see if our students learned it. So we have more students achieving at higher levels, which tells me the information and the knowledge is sticking with them. And we're turning closer to the state average, so we're hoping to maintain that momentum. One of our opportunities, our data indicates that we have some gaps in foundational skills. Our teachers are becoming more familiar with Bluebonnet implementation, and now that we feel like we can identify some of those gaps in our students' learning, and we can pre-plan for those, and anticipating those gaps in preparation for instruction allows us to differentiate our support, questioning, and instruction for all students.
One of the pushbacks we heard early on about Bluebonnet was from veteran teachers who didn't want the structure that it provides, but considering that we have a growing population of inexperienced teachers, they seem to trend towards wanting the structure. What's been your experience there at Days of Allah?
I agree there are different opinions about Bluebonnet learning, but what we've learned are all on the same playing field, asking the same questions because we're pre-planning in PLC what we need to ask our students and what we expect all students to learn.
You can go.
I was going to say I have the same questions for you. So just like what are one or two things that you are doing at your campus, to help grow, and then what do you need and have you asked for it?
We spend a lot of time supporting our teachers. So between me, our AP, SSA, TLCs, we're doing coaching cycles similar to what Dr. Conklin talked about, but we differentiate our coaching support. So everyone has different focus areas, and between all of our administrative team, we are the expert in that area. So I have a group of teachers I'm coaching on student goal setting. We have another administrator who's coaching teachers on student discourse. So we've all tried to enhance our pedagogy skills, not just learning the new curriculum, but how to deliver it effectively. And so I think that's helped how we become experts in just a little things so that we can help more people instead of us trying to be experts in all the things.
My quick question that I have is, as Bluebonnet has come online with us and with many of our schools, have you all found that you have received the necessary material, equipment that you needed to move forward with Bluebonnet? Has it been any gaps in services or what we needed for our district to continue to grow in that area, if that's the direction that we go in?
I feel like we have what we need at Days of Allah between the materials and also the implementation support. We have implementation advisors, product advisors. We do learning walks with Region 4. We have 37 visits for math with coaching, and I want to say 14 or 16 for reading. So we basically have support at least once a week for math and every other week for reading. So we have a lot of support, a lot of boots on the ground, hands-on coaching teachers, not just from people on campus, but also Region 4.
Good, thank you.
We had a really good implementation plan for Bluebonnet. Our principals spent a great deal of time this summer going through all of the pieces, and then our teachers also went through that training on the teacher level. And so we spent a great deal of time. Sarah's team did a really, really good job of organizing all that. The one thing I'll say that I think has helped Days of Allah become successful is Miss Abbott's ability to put systems in place. And so everything they do on their campus, there's a system and a process, and teachers know what that is. And when teachers know what's going on and what's happening, it really helps them excel. So Leah's really good at that.
And I have one more. Was there anything you needed?
No, but just like my partner said, a phone call away, and I have what I need. Yeah. Thank you.
Ms. Smith?
Good afternoon. Erica Smith, principal at Carver Elementary School. Carver Celebration is our implementation of strategic monitoring. So we were trained by Region 4. It's a part of the TEAL process, Texas Instructional Leadership last year. So we're in our second year of implementing that. The strategy is used by our teachers to monitor and adjust their instruction proactively versus, on the end of it. So we're able to respond to that data pretty quickly. Through walkthroughs and conversations with teachers during PLC meetings, we've identified an opportunity, and that is student engagement. Teachers have placed an emphasis on the implementation of Bluebonnet, and in the curriculum, it's suggested, the engagement strategy that's suggested is a turn and talk. So we've gotten kind of caught up in doing that, and we're completely trained in Kagan and all of the additional strategies, but because we're implementing it, trying so hard to implement it with fidelity, they've kind of lost sight of the different strategies. So during our January PLC day, we're going to intentionally plan for that wider range of variety of high impact strategies and, implement it coming back in January.
I want to brag on her because she is doing a great job, and she's also ran a training, and we featured her and some other principals at the principal PLC, and she trained them as well.
Good. What did you say the name of the program y'all had? I think you said it's your second year.
TEAL implementation.
Okay.
But she was talking about, I think, strategic monitoring. Yeah.
That's how we were trained through the TEAL process. The strategy is strategic monitoring.
Gotcha. So my questions are going to be the same for you, like one or two things, but that sounds like that's one of the things you're doing.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything else you are doing to help improve your
coaching and feedback?
The coaching, perfect. And is there anything you need?
Phone call
Have
away.
you asked? Perfect. That's what we like to hear.
We do. I really do have a lot of support, so
Okay.
I'm appreciative of that.
Good.
One thing I'll say about Erica and her team, her leadership team, they work really, really well together to try to meet the needs of individual kids. And they have a lot of conversations about kids and their progress. They also do goal setting, as all of them do. We could say the same thing about all of our principals, and even the ones that are going to come up later, but that's just a real strength for Erica and her team.
Any question for this group, and we'll switch out.
Real quickly, just ask one simple question I think would be of interest to the board, and that is staffing. We have been through 3 years of reduction, and wondering, does it have an impact? How have you adapted, and where do you stand now with needs? To Ms. Guy's question. Classroom ratio, that sort of thing.
So we are, I would say that we have more than teachers that are not fully certified on our campus. And so we're doing our best, the best that we can to ensure that they get the certification, both with the district and then of course myself as well, giving them resources. But I will say for Asheville, that is one thing, a concern that I would have is not having certified teachers on campus.
And we're closing that gap through the programs that offered through HR.
Right.
Anyone else?
Honestly, it would be the same. I'm 91% certified on my campus. So, but filling the gaps, you guys are working hard to build that. So we appreciate that. As in ratio, I think we're good. We don't have any issues with over capacity in classrooms, not at Carver.
Our student to staff ratio is within the staffing guidelines. The only area where there is some growth, obviously, and you've probably heard it, is some of our special education self-contained classrooms where there's not a hard number and we need to serve, all of our students the best we can. But those are some areas, but we've gotten help with through special ed and HR with hiring additional staff as needed for that. But you can't always anticipate what that's going to look like, and it's ever changing.
Thank you all very much. Time to rotate.
Yes, thank you.
Next.
Since they didn't follow my rubric, we're going to start over here with Carlascio Smith. I'm just picking on you. I'm just picking on you. So once again, I just want to say the first column is last year's STAR scores, Domain 1. The second column is your BOY and your CUAs. And then the November is just your CUAs. So you want to speak to your growth?
Good evening. My name is Carlascio Smith. I am the principal at Pumphrey Elementary. I want to talk about our celebration, and our celebration is the Bluebonnet curriculum. Bluebonnet does a great job of giving us a lot of data that is right at our fingertips. And so with that data, I am proud to say that my teachers are owning that data. They're taking that data and they are making adjustments in time. And so a lot of times we have formative assessments before we get to the end of the module. And so teachers are taking that information and they're providing the interventions that students will need before they get to the end of that module. And so what it does, they do that through targeted small groups. And so really proud to say that our students are getting what they need and when they need it. When it comes to opportunities for growth for us, we took a look at the data from our Region 4 walks, and we identified that we really need more intentional opportunities for our students to engage in writing and speaking with each other. And so in response to that, we have created a campus goal that by the end of next semester, when we walk into classrooms, we'll have at least 80% of our students who are writing, who are talking to each other and really engaging in productive struggle. And so when I talk about productive struggle, think about when you were learning how to ride a bike as a child, right? You would fall, you would scrape your knee, but you would continue to try until you got it right. And so when we talk about productive struggle, that's what we're talking about with our students. We want to give them the opportunity to wrestle with the instruction so that they will be able to defend their answers and talk about their learning. And so how we are going to achieve this in PLCs, we're going to make sure that we have internalization. And in our internalization, we're going to be very strategic in making sure that we are creating those opportunities in our lessons where students can talk, where students can write. And again, hopefully that will help our students better be able to defend their learning and explain what they're learning.
Before we move on, could you present a need that you might have currently?
A need that I may have. Again, I can't think of anything, just as my colleagues at the moment. There's so much support here from our AEDs to other principals. As you know, this is my first year here, so it's like a family and everyone's willing to help. So I'm very thankful for that. I can't think of anything right now at the moment.
Well, I want to make a comment. As a first-year principal, just hearing some really good things from your teachers. So that's a big pat on the back for you. So thank you for coming in and working hard to accomplish what we see here in front of us. So very proud of that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Blanca?
There we go. Good evening, I'm Blanca Capetillo. I am the proud principal, Highlands Elementary, home of the Hawks. Celebration, I know we've been talking about Bluebonnet a lot tonight, and I'll be very honest with you, something you'll get from me, right, Dr. Conklin? Clear is kind, and that's what I tell my staff and everyone. At the beginning, it was quite a lot for our teachers, the change. You know, we had a lot of uneasiness as far as the new curriculum. However, adapting and changing and providing that support with our teacher and staff, I've seen so many positive things with the new curriculum, even from our teachers as well. Just going into classrooms as an instructional team, you see the alignment horizontally and vertically. And also because our campus, we have a high mobility rate as well. When kids come in, they know what's next, what lesson they're on, what they're learning. So we've seen a lot of good with Bluebonnet. The vertical alignment allows us administrators to provide that specific feedback to teachers, and they're hearing the same thing from all the administrators, which is great. An opportunity, as we did our learning walks with Region 4, part of our TIL grant as well, is our small group is making sure that our teachers are utilizing the data in order to meet the needs of the kids when they pull the kids back for small group. So that's an area of opportunity on our campus. As an instructional team, we did the learning walks, we looked at the trends we were seeing throughout the classes, and we created a rubric where we would go in and see like where our need was, and that's our area. We're really gonna look at the teacher table to make sure that that data is there as they're meeting with the kiddos. And to answer your question, just like our colleague said, anytime we need anything, we just pick up the phone, and the support is there. So we really appreciate the support.
So what I heard you say that the greatest focus is you feel like you've overcome the challenges of implementation.
Yes, sir.
You feel like your teachers are having success with Tier 1 instruction, but where you're still focused on is Tier 2 and Tier 3 instruction.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Betty Baca. I am the principal at Harlem Elementary, which is right across the street. The celebration that I have has to do with Bluebonnet as well. As we're doing our walkthroughs in the classrooms, the Bluebonnet questioning is high rigor, and we're seeing the teachers asking the questions, and so that alone is helping us to bring up our scores. And it has to do with the planning piece. We've gotten so much support from our district. As Karen mentioned, we had training, a lot of training in the summer before we implemented Bluebonnet, and we've had training ongoing throughout the year. It's different, you know, Bluebonnet is a different way of teaching, and so the celebration is definitely seeing the rigor and the high questioning from our teachers. The opportunity is the internalization piece. Some teachers have to internalize more than one subject area, and that can be overwhelming. So you really have to study. You know, you have to study and prepare and know what questions you're going to ask and plan. And so some teachers have struggled a little bit, so that's been a little bit of a challenge. And what we're doing to address that challenge is we coach our teachers, we have feedback conversations, we do on my campus, my AP and myself, we do collaborative walks, so we go all as a team together. And so our teachers are used to just seeing us in classrooms all the time, and we're able to give that feedback. We also had lasso walks last week, and I'm very proud to say that it went amazing with Region 4. Our teachers are doing what we ask them to do, and we're seeing, you know, obviously the results and the growth. And so there were some tears at the beginning of the year. We did have some grade levels crying, and some teachers, you know, it's changed. And so when we have, at Harlem, I'm blessed that I retain staff, and so some of my staff has many, many years of experience, and so anytime you bring in something, you know, with change, it's going to be difficult. But we're pedaling right through, and I'm excited about this year. And as far as support, I could call Karen Thomas any day or night, and she's going to get me what I need. I did, you know, when we look at our scores, if I have a need, I mean, I just email the science department, and they're, hey, when do you need us to come plan with your teachers? We will be there, very supportive. So I can't say that I have any needs at this time.
I have one question, especially with our two very seasoned principals. Thank you, guys. But one of the things that I know that it's been piloted, right, with only the K and through second, right? Have we moved up to the other grade levels since we're having these gains now with Bluebonnet? Is what I'm asking.
It is K-5.
It's K through 5
This is
now.
the first year for K-5.
Okay. Oh, okay. I knew it was K through second, right?
Certain schools was K2, and then this year we fully implemented K-5 across the district, and then you'll get the next group of secondary, and it's a little bit different because TA didn't go all the way through with Bluebonnet up on the English side. So we are hoping RLA will be the next next group that goes forward. But right now, they are all implemented K-5.
But you think it's helped your students on the upper grade levels?
Yes, it has. It like I said earlier, it is challenging because if you're a fifth grade teacher that's been teaching for 10 years and now you have this new curriculum to follow, you want to sometimes revert to your old ways because you think you might know what's best. But, you know, this is proven. And so if we're following it, we just have to, I keep telling them, trust the process. And some teachers have T-shirts that have made, that say trust the process. And so, you know, it's different, but it's, I think it's like somebody mentioned earlier, I don't know if it was Leah, it's a fair playground for all. When we go from one classroom to the next, we're seeing what we should be seeing, and it's fair for all students. And so the students that some teachers might say, hey, well, I have a low class. No, the rigor is going to be there, whether, you know, the rigor is there in the questioning, and it all comes down to the planning process and to the internalization part of it. So you have to study. It's not easy.
Right.
And we had
we're
some
making it
pushback because of the themes like Renaissance in second grade, but the kids love it. They're embracing it, and the teachers are embracing it as well.
So you think I'm sorry.
But do you have, it's basically, when you talked to Dr. Jackson, when you spoke about it with, within the different levels, it's just but it's in reading as well. Is that the big part of it? Am I correct? Because that's a big area we need, especially for those K through second is reading.
They started at the fundamental because that's where the foundations broke across the state of Texas. And so we're really excited, but you'll see that math goes up through algebra, but RLA stops at 5th grade right now. So we've had to do we'll share some of that in a minute, what we're trying to do to patch that. But for the elementaries, which is where we really needed that focus the most, it is, and what you've heard tonight, we're hearing across the district, and the struggle is real, was serious at the beginning, but it's a lot like our early learning academies. I'm excited about the growth that we'll see this year, but next year is what really excites me, because it always takes, you know, a year to get your feet in, understand even where the teachers are now from where they were in August. And so when you're talking about next year, these teachers are going to come in with that background knowledge right off the bat. So I do think that, you know, as you are seeing, that we're going to see gains this year, but I think next year you're really going to reap that benefit.
And Dr. Jackson, that's one thing I told my teachers. This is the first year. I mean, we're literally in our 5th month, 6th month. You know, change takes time, but if you're doing it with fidelity and monitoring, we're going to see the growth. And I think the teachers, you know, the first few weeks of school, it was rough, but things have gotten better, and they're going to trust the process. It just takes time.
Don't want these ladies and gentlemen think we don't think they're fabulous too. We're trying to save some time, but commend them for their leadership with their campuses and PLCs and planning, doing a really, really great job of leading their teams and helping them get through that internalization process, because it's hard, y'all.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
K through 2, they're doing reading and math in a short amount of time, and they're doing a great job.
I just wanted to commend them. What I'm hearing is TEA and Region 4 are coming and are visiting and supporting you at the campus level. I remember when Ms. Flushy, Dr. Martinez, I believe Dr. Jackson presented this last spring as a possibility, and it wasn't just a change in curriculum, it was 180 degrees from unstructured autonomy, teaching a certain number of TEKs, to now it's very structured. But the whole presentation to the board, as I recall, was the assessment will be aligned with this structure. So you can either adopt this structure or not adopt this structure, but the assessment will be aligned. So while you're seeing some fruits now, I don't think we will really see the fruits until the STAR test, till the end of course tests are done. So
Region 4 was here this morning. Dr. O'Brien and Dr. Rodriguez stepped in, and our Region 4 representative commended our team for their fidelity of implementation. The walks that they're doing from Region 4, we're scoring very high that we're following the program, we're implementing it correctly. So we were really pleased with that as well. So.
With all that said and done, my question is, are they buying into the program totally? I mean, you may have some that buy in and some that are not buying in. So they kind of knock each other off. So, you know, the teaching on one end may be strong and they're doing their best, but then you got 3 or 4 over here that are not pushing it a little bit harder. So my question, one question I got is, are they buying into the whole program, the Blue Bonnet program, and trying their hardest to make sure that the 69 go up
quite
I would say at Harlem for sure they're buying in because there's not an alternative.
Yes.
So when we do our walkthroughs, if we see anything that is not Bluebonnet, oh, there will be a conversation to be had. So, you know, they really do feel supported and they really do know what the expectations are. And we have so many people doing walkthroughs.
Yeah,
I mean, the
there's no way
district is
not
coming
to-
in. There's no way that anybody's not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
So
that's my only
yeah.
question, you know, the buy-in, you know, making sure that, you know, teachers, everyone is buying into what you're doing and making a strong effort.
So one of the benefits that Karen and I have doing this is that we both service 9 or 10 campuses, and so we get to see what it looks like on several campuses, and we do these implementation walks with them. And I can say in all the walks that I've done, 100% of classes have been implementing Bluebonnet, which is amazing when you're implementing a new curriculum right off the bat. And so that's a testament to, you know, the training that our teachers received over the summer, and then the way that our principals are expecting that to be implemented, and then they're monitoring it. And so now obviously when you go into classrooms, you may see varying levels of implementation, the kind of the skill. And so there's that differentiated support that Leah talked about earlier that they're providing those teachers, but 100% of them are implementing their curriculum with fidelity.
Yeah.
Coaching and feedback.
Yeah, that was my question, just the buy-in, making sure everyone's on the same page and everyone is buying into the whole program.
Well, Ms. Flushy told him that you didn't have a choice. She just said no choice.
Amen.
Well, and I have to say, you know, TEA made a big shift this year, and they added the leadership track. That didn't exist in past years for Amplify or Carnegie or Eureka. And when they moved to Bluebonnet, they added this leadership track, and the principals had to go through more training than the teachers this past summer. And it was the most brilliant decision that TEA could have made. I'm sorry, it was brilliant. I mean, 5 stars for that decision, because now you have these administrators who are not only empowered, but they understand so much, and we would not be having this same conversation if they were not just equally, actually more so trained than their teachers. And we're so grateful that, that TEA and our principals did that this year.
I'd like to piggyback on Ms. Capetillo's response to Mr. Sampson. I had the privilege and pleasure of visiting one of our elementary schools, Highlands L, about a month ago. And based on previous visits to your campus, I asked to go to the classrooms that don't know that I'm coming. So on this visit, we just picked random doors and went through them. So I did see the Bluebonnet process in action. Everyone did have buy-in. Of course, there's different levels of teachers. We have master teachers to first-year teachers. But what I witnessed on the campus, I was totally amazed. And then I also got a good feeling for what these teachers do on a daily basis. And that helps me when I sit in this seat right here. So if you have not, as a trustee, had a chance to go out and visit a campus and walk the halls with one of our principals, they're welcoming. They'd love to take you on a tour and get to see Bluebonnet for yourself. I'm not going to advocate heavily on it, but I mean, it seems to be working. What I saw, they were engaged. Every classroom we walked in on, the students were engaged in Bluebonnet curriculum. So Ms. Capetillo, I appreciate the random tour that we went on.
I
But
took
it was
them to
good.
varying levels of expertise as far as going in and kind of warned them, hey, this one may be a little different. But no, everybody appreciate you coming by.
But I was able to see even the first year teachers were teaching the same material that the master teacher across the hall was doing.
Yes.
So in that regard, Mr. Sampson, I saw buy-in at Highlands Elementary firsthand.
Yeah, that's my question.
Ms. Guy?
I was just going to say that I feel like it doesn't matter what the curriculum is. I think the most important piece that I've heard tonight is that the principals are really kind of like hands-on coaching teachers, and that I think that's going to make the biggest difference.
Thanks to Ms. Flushy for saying they don't have a choice. No, I want to thank the veteran principals for being so nice to the rookie principals tonight. Thank y'all. I think it's time.
Okay, so we're going to switch out. Veteran, seasoned, I don't know. Just
I do want to thank these,
Thank you.
the elementary principals. What we don't think about is that they are also in the same boat with the teachers, and they had to trust the process, and they did that together with us. So I appreciate the elementary principals for what they've done, and we'll switch out.
Next.
We have more elementaries coming up?
It's middle school now.
Oh.
Look, Judy, you got the right spot.
Who's this good-looking group?
Okay, so this is our secondary group that we're going to talk about, and this is our last group we'll have up here. So, and they did get in the right order. I just want y'all to know. I don't know. So we'll turn it over to Ms. Mackion first for Baytown Junior.
Good afternoon. I'm Judy Mackion, the principal of Baytown Junior. We started off with a 65D from last year, and as you can see, we went to a 75, and now we're at a 78C. I believe that our celebration is going to be that we have a core 8th grade class that is all achieving above state average, which is what our goal is for this year. So it's saying our kids are able, it's telling the people in the building it is something we can do, and it is setting the grounds for the work that we're doing. Our opportunity right now is checking for understanding. We're really wanting our teachers to be proactive and not reactive in the classroom. So we're really wanting them to know how to check for understanding at the rigor of the TEAC, which is a little bit different, I would say, is where we're extending our teachers. Many of them were checking for understanding. They're asking questions in the classroom, but we're having to make sure we're at the rigor of the TEAC because so many of our kids do have gaps, and we want to make sure we keep the rigor up for our kids to be successful. So we are implementing strategic monitoring also, which is what some of the elementary campuses are doing, to make sure that we can know who is getting the understanding of what we're teaching and who is not. But the biggest thing is that we have to pivot when we get that data. When we know a kid is not doing it, what is the process for making sure that we go back to that child and that we are readdressing their learning needs and we don't leave them behind?
Any questions for Ms. Mackion?
Is there anything else that you're doing that's, because y'all don't have the Bluebonnet curriculum like the younger campuses do, so is there anything else you are doing to help improve your scores or your
They are
outcomes?
using Bluebonnet 6 through 8 for math.
For math, okay.
math.
What
Right,
about
and
for reading?
to clarify our differences in secondary, so in elementary, they do have Bluebonnet for reading and math. At secondary, we only have Bluebonnet for math, and it's only from 6 to Algebra 1. So all of our math is covered by Bluebonnet, but we are still using our own curriculum for reading, science, and social studies.
I would say on our campus, the biggest thing is making sure that we are having strong tier 1 instruction, and that starts in the PLC process by making sure we're collaborating and we're making sure that everybody understands the level of the TEAC, but that we also intentionally plan what are those activities that we're doing, what are our checks for understanding, and then what are we going to do when those kids don't get it. And it comes from us following through as administrators, making sure that what we plan in the PLC carries through in the classroom.
And how often do your teachers get to PLC?
We PLC every day, and because
good.
I am a campus, I get to walk my building. Me and my administrators, teachers get a walk. We're in their rooms every week. They see somebody monitoring what we plan in those classrooms.
Perfect. And is there anything you need?
At this moment, no. I would say no. We do have a lot of support, so when we call for help, we do get help. So right now, I think we're doing a great job, and the support is there for us.
Okay, good.
Good evening, board. My name is Roger Cardona. I'm the Cedar Bayou School principal. Very excited to be here with you tonight. Where we were last year, we were at a 69 because of the commissioner's rule, because we did end up with enough points for a C, but we, of course, our accountability score was a 69. At the start in October, we did start with a 62 in the domain 1 prediction, if you will. And then in November, we are, looking at the achievement score being at 73. In terms of celebrations, I would definitely have to acknowledge the experience and expertise that my 8th grade team has. I'd like to shout out that, they're on track to go above the state average or definitely meet the state average in my math program, my science, and my social studies. So very excited about the expertise that those teachers bring and the leadership that they have on the campus. In terms of opportunities, I definitely would say that we have a lot of students that are struggling with writing, and so incorporating writing practice in English, it's one of those things that we're definitely planning for and focusing on for our ELA program as well.
Is there anything you need?
I would say, every chance that we make a phone call, the phone call is answered, and we're definitely supported. And somebody either rolls up their sleeve from the CNI department. I definitely got to acknowledge them. It doesn't matter all the way from the director all the way down to the instructional coaches. They're all willing to roll up their sleeves and come in and help support a struggling teacher, or help come in and give kudos to an expert teacher who's doing an even better job than they were yesterday.
Good afternoon, President Campisi, trustees, Superintendent O'Brien. I'm Daniel Blanson. I'm the principal of Horseman Jr. I'm excited to be here on behalf of the organization to highlight celebrations, but also some opportunities that we welcome to improve student and teacher performance. Celebrations. I am proud to present that our social studies scores are now at the state average based on the last CUA data. As you know, social studies has been an opportunity for us for the last 2 years. So in reflection, this highlights our curriculum and instruction, highlights our instructional practices, our curriculum alignment, but most importantly, the hard work of our teachers, our students, and our instructional teams. However, we do have some opportunities. Based on the data, our opportunity lies in strengthening our writing in ELA. And so it's a priority for myself and our campus leadership team on our campus to improve that in the second semester. We're going to do that by providing teacher writing workshops monthly, certain skill sets that our teachers need to be able to address the gaps of our students in writing. We've also identified students who have those writing gaps, and our teacher learning coach has taken the lead to provide those students with supplemental support. And so we're going to be monitoring that support throughout the school year, throughout the semester, to see what type of support or resources that we need to add to ensure our kids are successful. One of the things that we're doing differently this year, the way we are monitoring and the way we're evaluating our POCs on a weekly basis to ensure our teachers have the support and the resources that they need to plan for Tier 1 instruction. And so on our campus, it's a campus of support, it's a community of support to ensure that we're all steering in the right direction.
And do you need anything?
Ms. Guy, we do have a community of support with our CNI department, Dr. Martinez, Mr. Foxworth. So as of right now, no, ma'am, we're in good hands.
Good deal.
Sorry, I got a little excited there. Make all the noise I can here, sorry. Well, good evening. I'm Alicia Brooks. I am the principal of the Peter E. Highland Empire Academy. And today I'm actually representing the virtual side, or the virtual house as we call it. We do have some celebrations and some opportunities. Our celebrations is that we are showing some steady growth in our enrollment. We are looking at an expected 107 students for next semester from 76 this semester. And I truly believe that that has to do with the strong relationships and the responsive instruction that we are putting forth in our students. We have parents that are talking to other parents who have students who have similar struggles. And so I believe that's where the increasing of numbers is coming from. We're also accepting more students from outside of the district, so we're gaining some numbers that way. We are intentionally focusing on warrior moments is what we call it, which is like a 15 minutes of fame, so that each student, every student in the virtual academy has at least 15 minutes that they get individually with their teacher each week. And in that moment, they come up with an instructional goal. They talk about their grades, their progress they're in their classes, if they have any struggles, if they have any needs, and any social and emotional issues that may arise. The student and the teacher are able to have that conversation. So they are meeting the whole student in every week with that warrior moment. Excuse me. We are also making weekly connections as far as making the students feel accountable, feel heard, and feel seen with these meetings. As far as opportunities, we are looking at both our math and our writing scores. We've implemented weekly writing labs with our students required where they meet with the teacher. We also have face-to-face writing labs as an opportunity for the students to come up. That's not only for academic, but that's also to help some of our students get reacclimated to being around other students. Some of ours have extreme anxiety of being around others, so this is one of our ways to get them acclimated to be back around students as well. We are also, because we have combined in the same building with our Peter Highland our teachers, we're able to use the math teacher now to work with our virtual students to help increase the scores in that opportunity as well.
Perfect. And are there needs there?
Right now, I will say that we have a lot of support. We're working with the virtual hybrid program, accelerator program, which is TEA, Region 4, and Education Elements. It's a combination of all three of those entities that are working with us and all virtual programs in the state. So not only do I have that support, but we also have the support here in this building. So at this point, we're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do y'all have any questions for this group?
I do. I hate to be the one to do this, but, you know, as I'm looking, even in the elementary, you know, I see that we're heading in the right direction to improvement. But help me understand why I'm seeing so many D's and F's, you know, and C's look good. Why am I seeing this like that? Is that normal?
Well, keep in mind I took out domain 2 and 3, so this isn't their score that they made. But I wanted it to be a true reflection because this is tier 1 instruction. But when you add in domain 2, most of the scores that you saw that may be B's and C's are because what I'm doing is I'm comparing, you know, Cedar Bayou against schools that look like Cedar Bayou. So I'm looking at your free and reduced lunch numbers. So these are not the scores that their campus earned. This is only domain 1. And if you increase this score, then you're right, Mr. Renteria, the whole score is going to go way up.
Explain domain 1, though.
Domain 1 is literally how every student that takes a STAR test performed and averaged together. So it doesn't compare growth of the student. It doesn't compare how they compare against comparable schools that look like you. It doesn't look at sub-pops for special ed. You heard somebody say that they were targeted for special ed. It doesn't look at that. It looks like at all of your kids, equal playing ground and how they performed.
This is one domain of 4 that makes up the overall grade for the campus.
And how come we don't have a November domain for virtual?
Because they're not Bluebonnet and they don't have a CUA. So we will have more information for them when they take their January MOY and benchmark. That's the only reason. I should have said that. I'm sorry.
No. I was just curious because I keep seeing this. I didn't understand why. I mean, those look like some of the grades I would make, you know, but, you know, but on a serious note, you know, when we were in search of our superintendent, let me be clear. The main thing that we were looking at was academics. And the elementary, some of the elementary had caught our attention.
Well,
and this is why I'm asking this question right now, because
I agree. And what I've said, actually, I said this to 2 of the board members recently. We had to do something different because if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to get the same results. And we were kind of stagnant. So I'm really excited about Bluebonnet because I think it's giving us an opportunity to do things differently and see different results.
Right. Okay. I just a question because, like I said, that academics is our focus as a board. I'm not speaking for the board, but you know, I do know that our search was someone who could help us, lead all of us for our children in academics. And when I see these, I'm like, are we celebrating, you know, something that I'm not too familiar with, or what's really going on here, you know?
Right.
But just a question. That's all.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I've been very quiet for a long time.
It was kind of scaring me.
Yeah, I can see the concern on your face. But the first thing I want to say is I have waited 8.5 years for this presentation. I've waited for the time when we can spend more time on student data and academics than we do on the minutia of running a school district, and I finally got it. And that's probably why I'm so quiet. I'm just absorbing it all. And I appreciate everybody back there as well. I appreciate you putting your celebrations in front of us, but I also appreciate you sharing your dirty laundry because we all know it's there and it's time to talk about it. And tag teaming on Mr. Renteria, the board you will see is going to have a turn, not because of a new leader, but because of some things that we've learned about ourselves that we want more about academics, and we just put everything else on the consent agenda, and this is what we need. I internalize things a lot because I've been in the district for so long, and my biggest concern every year, and the one I lose the most sleep over, is the budget. But this is right there with it, and I hope we don't ever have to talk about closing a campus because of ratings, but only because of finances. But you know that you guys are nodding like you know what I'm talking about, so I'll just leave it at that. But I appreciate everything I've heard tonight, and I can't wait for the next one.
I just want also the Bluebonnet. I think the curriculum is really helping just by what I'm hearing. So I'm grateful for that, to hear that feedback, you know, because at first we were kind of concerned. You know, we heard some people were with it and some people were not really wanting to jump on board with it, you know, so that's a good thing, yeah.
Thank you. Great comments. Thank you.
Okay, if, like I said, this is the first time we've done something like this, so if you have something after the board meeting you want to share or send me anything, then we will be glad to adopt or add to whatever we need to.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson, and everyone who presented tonight. So we'll move on to...
Say one more thing. I just want to say I appreciate the AEDs. Also, it sounds like the principals feel very supported by you all, and I think that's important too. Thank y'all.
I'd also like to say, Ms. Guy, when this board asks our employees if there's anything you need, we truly want to hear that because we make our decisions based on information that we have. And if we don't know about it, we can't make those informed decisions. So thank you, Ms. Guy. Those were great questions. So we'll move on. I'll put my superintendent hat on for a moment. We'll move on to item 10.2, CISD DOI teacher phase-out plan. Dr. Bollinger and the HR team. And you can go ahead and proceed.
Okay, you ready? Okay, good evening, school board members. We are excited to share the DOI teacher phase-out plan, and so we want to give some information on our District of Innovation plan and some changes that have happened based off of legislation. We feel like this presentation will be fairly quick, and so we'll go through it, but also answer any questions you may have. Just for background information, Goose Creek is a District of Innovation district, or a DOI district, so we'll use that term DOI. We have been for 7 years. What that means is that we're given flexibility on certain requirements, certain state requirements that we're allowed to have more flexibility based off of our DOI application. So for example, with our probationary contracts, that's in our DOI plan, and so we have all of our teachers new to the district on a 3-year probationary contract, or a 1 year for 3 years. And so that's that's part of our DOI plan. Or another example is the first day of instruction. There's a state requirement for that, and then in our DOI plan we have some flexibility on starting earlier than that required first day of instruction. And so we have about 10 items that we have flexibility on in our DOI plan. So a big part of our DOI plan is that the district is allowed to hire uncertified teachers if they're in an alternative certification program. And so that gives us flexibility on certification. Right now, there's a teacher shortage, as we've talked about for several years in the state of Texas, and finding certified teachers is very challenging. It's not just a Goose Creek problem, just throughout the state. We have a hard time finding certified teachers. We're going to show you some statistics here in a minute on how many of our teachers are certified, how many are not. But in our DOI plan, we are allowed right now to hire uncertified teachers if they're on the path to getting certified. We're also allowed to allow certified teachers to teach outside their certified area. So if I'm at a junior high, let's say I have a math 7th through 12th certification and the principal needs me to teach 6th grade. Even though that's not in my certification, our DOI plan allows me to teach 6th grade math. And so that's an example of some flexibility with certification. Okay, that brings us to House Bill 2. With recent legislation, there's been some changes on this flexibility. And so that flexibility is basically going away in the state of Texas. And so as it stands with House Bill 2, part of the regulations are that for elementary, we're no longer allowed to hire uncertified teachers in elementary core content beginning next year. Okay, so that's going away statewide. That's a statewide requirement as a part of House Bill 2. And then the following year, 27-28, the same rules apply for secondary core content areas. Okay, so by 27-28, Goose Creek and every other district in the state of Texas are no longer allowed to employ uncertified teachers for core content areas. And so that's we understand the need. We want 100% certified teachers in our district, absolutely. We also know that is a challenge due to a supply and demand issue. And so, so that's where we're at with this legislation, okay? Now, what's been implemented through the State Board of Education, or SBEC, is that they're allowing districts to apply for an exception that will delay this certification requirement. So instead of implementing next year, no longer can you have certified teachers in elementary, and the year after, all core content areas must be certified 100%. We're allowed to phase out this uncertified or certification requirement. So we must create a phase-out plan that we're going to share with you here in a minute that shows how we will make sure we will move towards 100% certification in core content areas by 29-30. So that gives us a few more years to work towards that. And the plan also must show our recruitment pathways and how we're aggressively recruiting certified teachers. And we'll talk about that here in a minute as well. Here are the statistics for our district. So currently, and this does fluctuate as we get teachers who become certified, it moves the needle in a positive direction. But currently, we have 108 uncertified teachers out of 1483 in core content areas. And so we looked at our certified teachers as it applies to this new rule in House Bill 2. And so what that means is that we have 59 teachers that would be affected at the elementary level, and then we have 49 teachers that would be impacted at the secondary level, okay? And then if you put that into percentages, just it's good to know. So that's 7% of our teaching staff. And so what that means is that 93% of our teaching staff is either certified, 92% are certified, and then we have 1% that are DOI in a non-core content area, and they are not impacted by this rule. So if you think of like a CTE teacher that is DOI, that it allows them to teach even though they don't have that certification, but through industry, they're able to teach that course, and that this new legislation doesn't impact that.
Dr. Bollinger, it might be relevant to share with the board how we came about a teacher shortage as a result of a global pandemic, but we don't want to drag all that up, but just to say we went from X number of resignations throughout the year to whatever it might be.
Yeah, sure, and I think that we saw that nationwide, really after COVID, that a lot of the service industries had a hard time recruiting, or they lost staff. That happened in the education field, that happened in the medical field with nurses, that happened with police officers, and so we saw that shift happen about 4 or 5 years ago. And so we're seeing an uptick now. The state has put some things in place. We know that longevity pay was added this past year, and we're hoping that will help recruit and retain more teachers, but that's what started that. I have Brooke Bingham here. She is our human resources coordinator, and she is really the expert behind this plan, and so she's going to get into the weeds on what this certification plan will look like.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Bollinger. So as you mentioned earlier, we currently have 108 uncertified teachers in core content areas. So the plan that we're proposing is to reduce that number by 25% each year. So if you look at the table, you have our baseline, which is the 25-26 school year, starting with 108 uncertified teachers. And then as we move into 26-27, we'll reduce that number by 25%. So our plan is to have no more than 81 uncertified teachers, obviously split between the elementary and the secondary level. And you can see it decreases by 25% each year, reaching full compliance by 29-30. So all of our uncertified teachers are currently enrolled in an alternative certification program. So in addition to them receiving support, training, test prep from their certification program, the district also provides quite a bit of support for them as well. We offer them free access to online test prep. We offer in-person test prep sessions. We had one this semester and we'll be hosting 2 more in January. I'm also working with the curriculum team to develop district developed test prep sessions for the core subjects EC through 6 exam. So it's a 5-part exam. It's all your core content areas and then your fine arts PE. So we're launching our math test prep January 17th. So I'm very excited about that. And then we'll have an additional test prep for one of the exams a couple weekends after that. In addition, we also provide all of our uncertified teachers checkpoints of where they should be throughout the year to meet our deadline to come back next school year. I do fall and winter check-ins with them, typically virtually, just to see where they're at with their training, their testing, have they registered, when do they plan to take it, when they receive their results. We also provide all of our uncertified teachers a mentor teacher, so that is a veteran teacher on their campus, usually in their grade level, their content area. In addition, we have our district mentor support team, which is made up of 4 retired district administrators here in Goose Creek, Susan Passmore, Laura Smith, Bruce Davis, and Barbara Wilson. And they are such a huge support to these first-year teachers. They go out and observe them several times a semester, providing them feedback on instruction, but also assisting me in helping see where they're at in their certification process as well. So for compliance monitoring, there is no state required compliance monitoring for these plans once we submit it to the commissioner at this point. However, we want to continue to be transparent with the board, school leadership, so we do plan to provide you updates as we move forward into the 26-27 school year, throughout that school year, and then years after. So part of the plan's requirements that we're going to submit is we have to list current recruitment efforts and future recruitment efforts. So one thing that we do wonderfully here in Goose Creek is student teacher placements. Actually, today we onboarded 30 student teachers and teacher residents to start this semester at various campuses within the district. And our goal is to retain them and hire them as fully certified teachers the following school year once they graduate. So we also attend university job fair recruitment, or university job fairs, 5 to 7 usually every semester, so we'll continue doing that. One of our biggest initiatives right now is really growing our local pipeline. That definitely starts at the high school level with our Career Academy for Future Educators. So those are high school students that want to pursue teaching as a profession. They take dual credit classes at Lee College, and then they move and get their Associates of Arts in Teaching, and then move off to university and hopefully come back to Goose Creek for their student teaching placement. This picture actually shows an event we had 2 weeks ago. It was a teacher certification open house. It was a very successful event, but we invited all of our university partners, our partners that are certification programs, out to meet individuals that are currently working here in Goose Creek and either do not yet have a degree, but would like to pursue a degree in education, connecting them with the correct universities and colleges, wherever they may be, and also those individuals that have a degree and are pursuing teacher certification. So just making sure that we're connecting them to the right individuals so they can learn their next steps to become a certified teacher.
Yeah, and I'm going to give Ms. Bingham a lot of credit for that event. It's the first time we did an event of that nature, and we had about 75 or 80 individuals come. And just hearing the conversations, we had secretaries in the district who have a 4-year degree who said, I always thought about teaching. I'm just not sure, it's scary to move towards that. And so Brooke had each individual pair up with a partner who explained their route. And so depending on what their needs were, we fit them with the right partner to pursue. One lady spoke with Brooke and said, I don't know who I need to talk to. And then Brooke said, well, do you have your 4-year degree yet? She said no. And then we took her to the partner that would allow her to fast track her 4-year degree so that she could become a teacher. So it was a fun event, and we hope to do that in the future as well.
So in conclusion and next steps, we're presenting this plan to you guys this evening, and we will hopefully have it approved at our next board meeting in January, and then we will submit this plan to the commissioner no later than March 2nd next year. And then we should have an answer whether we are approved or not for the phase-out plan no later than the end of March. And then our goal is to hopefully be in full compliance and have all certified teachers by the 29-30 school year in core content areas.
So we do not have an action item tonight. It'll be on the next board agenda if the board wants to move forward with this phase-out plan. Okay, thank you all. We're happy to answer any questions.
Yeah. So, not to be a Debbie Downer, but in 2030, we're hiring teachers for the 31 year, and there are no more certified fourth grade math teachers in the world. Are we just going to put a permanent sub in those classes that's uncertified?
Yeah, so that would be our option at that point. That
Wow.
if they don't have their statement of eligibility, if they're not far along enough where we can hire them, then we, along with every other district, our option is a long-term sub until we can find a certified teacher. Yes,
I wonder
sir.
if the powers that be thought of that.
But I will say the phase-out plan does allow us and gives us a few years to really create robust pipelines, not just in our area, but across the state. And then as we visit universities and recruit at those job fairs, bringing those individuals into Goose Creek. So it does provide a few years to really strengthen those pipelines.
Okay, good. Thank you.
To piggyback off of Mr. Clem's question, have y'all heard anything? What does the state have as a plan if they're putting this mandate out? You know, we're one of several thousand school districts or 1,100 school districts, state of Texas, whatever that number is, that has the same problem. If there's only so many certified teachers and they're creating this mandate, are they looking at that? What does that look like from the state level, and what are you hearing on that?
Yeah, I'll go first, and you can piggyback behind me. But I'll tell you, it's a challenge, and it's you know, on the one hand, we know that certified teachers get the best results. On the other hand, again, there's a supply-demand issue, and so I think last legislation they did put in retention pay, that longevity pay, which was that equated to about a 7%, 8% bump for certain individuals. And so they're hoping that increase in pay would help. Teacher incentive allotment is something else that's been implemented that will allow a teacher to earn up to 6 figures. And so I think that the state has implemented several key measures to increase pay. And I would say that that's one effort they're trying to attract more people to the field of education. You want to add to that?
So when it comes to the world of certification, it can be very complex. The state does have alternative ways to have a certified teacher teach out of their grade band or their content area with certification waivers, or a TCAP, which is a temporary classroom assignment permit. So there are ways that we can continue to kind of be strategic and innovative when placing teachers in assignments they may not be truly certified for. Of course, we want certified teachers. We'll just have to look at that case by case as different vacancies arise, and if we don't have a certified teacher at that point in time.
Those are actually old solutions that we've not had to use because of our DOI. They did not take those away.
Right. They did not take them away, so they're still there. Emergency permits are still in effect. Good. Emergency permits still technically is an uncertified teacher, but there still are different avenues that we can take once DOI is completely phased out in 29-30.
So currently in Goose Creek, an uncertified teacher has how long to become certified and still be employed here?
We give them 1 school year. So we usually give them a deadline to reach the next step in certification, which means they go on what's called an intern certificate, which actually means they're a certified teacher 1 step away from being fully certified. So we give them that deadline at the end of March, and unfortunately, if they're not able to meet that deadline, we can move them to a long-term sub, or they would just resign at the end of the school year.
The shift that's going to happen is we've had some flexibility with that, and now we're going to have to implement much more strict measures according to our phase-out plan. So we won't have that flexibility that we've had in the past. I've given them maybe an extra year. If they're making some progress, that'll go away.
So in theory, pretty much all of the uncertified teachers we just looked at should be certified next year.
In theory.
In theory.
Yes.
Best case scenario.
Which this board would be looking at approving just continually hiring uncertified teachers. And this is the part I struggle with, is the panel before you just stated to us that uncertified teachers are having an effect on those campus achievement issues. So
absolutely.
And I know it's not,
we agree with them,
fault, but yeah, it's something that we really have to look at. And keeping that in mind, I kind of struggle with looking at 5 years out and continuing this process.
Yeah, I'll just tell you 2 things. First of all, I feel like we and really Ms. Bingham leads this effort, is we do a lot to get our uncertified teachers certified. We do a lot of hand-holding. We do a lot of progress monitoring. We have a lot of checkpoints along the way. We do a lot.
Taking the tests for them.
But with that being said, it's a lot of work too, to work all day and then work on your certification and get all that done throughout the year. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. And so it's a burdensome task, but I feel like we do have a lot of pieces in place. We have a very aggressive approach to get them certified.
And I think another piece of that is that people aren't going to school to be teachers anymore. And I think that's a huge problem. I mean, I don't know what the numbers are, like what the percentage is that were going and then versus now, but people just aren't going to college to be teachers. I know that's part of the shortage problem.
Yeah, the supply pipeline is definitely trickling.
Yeah, and so it's going to be hard to have a plan where you only, I mean, unless we can bump pay way up where we're attracting those fully certified teachers.
I will say the state has really put a lot of emphasis on teacher residencies. So there's a huge push for teacher residency programs, which is having an increase in enrollment in those programs and individuals pursuing education as their degree. Now, an individual can be in a district and do a year-long residency and be paid before clinical teachers, in most districts around the state were not paid. So I think that is attracting a lot more individuals into the profession. So I think over the next few years, we'll definitely see an increase in enrollment.
I want to give you a lot of credit for the hard work that you're doing, but also I want to point out the board is always cognizant of ways to recruit highly certified teachers by the salary that they offer, the benefits package, the various things that they do to incentivize teachers, whether it be a sign-on bonus or an attendance bonus. One of the things administratively we used to do, I'm just not sure we still do, is a letter of reasonable assurance, because both for, on this page in particular, the future educators, a lot of our students graduate with an associate's or close there too, 42 hours core complete or whatever, and only have 2 years to finish up their degree and become certified teachers. Are we still doing letters of reasonable assurance just like we do for paraprofessionals who are working on their degree?
Yeah, we do. We offer a letter of intent. We do a ceremony at the end of each year for those students, for those seniors, and so it's a special moment. And we, go get your schooling, come back, work for us, and we'll guarantee you a position. So we do have that each year for that group.
And I have a question. Okay, so this phase-out plan is pending approval. Could you give me some details about if it were not to be approved?
Sure. If it were not approved by TEA, then we would be bound to the requirement under House Bill 2, where right here we're starting next year. We would not be able to hire uncertified teachers in elementary core content.
Right.
Starting next year. So if we were not able to find certified teachers, we would have to find long-term subs for those vacancies until we can find a certified teacher.
And so we've said that the uncertified teachers do have an impact on our campuses, on grading. And so I wonder what then the impact long-term subs would have instead of uncertified teachers, because uncertified teachers still do get a lot of support, whereas long-term subs don't necessarily get that kind of support.
They don't receive that support, and they also have a reduction in pay. And to find individuals that want to do a teacher's job for less money is very hard. So it would have a huge impact on our students.
Thank you.
Well, one more question. Currently, our uncertified teachers, for lack of a better word, how are they distributed across our district? Is it fairly equitable, or are there high concentrations on one campus over another?
I don't have the exact data to answer that question. I can show you the breakdown here. We have slightly more elementary than secondary. I would say at some of our high-need campuses, it's probably harder to get certified teachers, just because they're higher at risk. But I can provide that data for you so I can make sure I'm speaking accurately.
We have all that information, and we can provide it to you by campus, how many uncertified teachers are at each campus in the district.
I think I'd like to see that.
Good.
Yep, absolutely. We'll get it to you.
Are any of these uncertified teachers or long-term subs on contract?
No, they're at will. Yeah, they're at will until they get their statement of eligibility, and then we present them to you where they get a probationary contract at that point. That's a good question.
Any further questions?
Great job. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
Next up, we have our business department coming up to provide a monthly financial report. As we saw last month, it was a full comprehensive report. This report will be much more brief, as it will be, rather than quarterly, it will be monthly going forward.
Thank you, Dr. O'Brien. Good evening once again, board members. Yes, we will be presenting these reports at the request of the board on a monthly basis, so the board is apprised of where we are in terms of the budget throughout the school year. And with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Price.
Good evening again. So here we have the interim financial reporting for the month ending October 31st, 2025. All major funds are operating within board-approved financial guidelines. Ongoing monitoring and long-range planning continue to guide financial decisions. Here we have the general fund, and as you can see here, the general fund remains compliant within the 25% fund balance reserve policy. Revenues and expenditures are tracking and as anticipated for this point in the fiscal year. Here, the superintendent's contingency budget. It is built into the general fund itself, but as you can see here, in 2017, 2018, the contingency fund was about 1.2 million, and this current year we've decreased it over the time. We've decreased it down to 500,000. For our district, for a district our size, this is a very small contingency budget. It's practice across other districts to have a contingency budget for needs that are outside of the normal budgetary needs that the campuses and departments have.
Like what? Give me an example, please.
The latest one would be a safety and security audit. We had a need through the safety department, and that was approved to come out of contingency.
But don't we have already money earmarked for that safe and contingency and security?
We do, but other things come up during the year, and safety, is of course a priority. And so we have compliance issues with safety as well. And, that's just one of those things that the superintendent has given the funds for funding those purposes.
So like, for instance, last year, how much did we use on security and safety for the kids out of this contingency fund?
I don't have that data in front of me right now. We can get that for you, though.
Okay.
So what it's for, Mr. Entry, is just to be a very brief explanation, is when there's a cost run over on something, when there's an unexpected expense, a boiler goes out, things of that nature. You're right, there is a budget for maintenance. Yeah. And however, there are occasionally larger capital projects that come out of a unscheduled routine maintenance item. Sometimes there is a budgeted item in a capital funds budget that runs over, and or once the project began, was discovered that it had more to it. It was more complex. A good example is fencing for the entire district. That was a bond initiative, but there were certain things that didn't qualify for bonds, such as a change to the original plan. That would be an example of a superintendent contingency budget stepping in. So while it says superintendent contingency budget, it's really not my budget per se. It's the contingency budget to cover unexpected capital expenses that exceed the annual day-to-day operational budgeted items. Every employee has a budget, but it's just to cover them for their bare essential needs for that calendar school year. And whenever it exceeds something like that, this budget is designed to cover that expense and make sure that our children don't suffer, make sure our teachers don't suffer.
So there's no legal boundary in using this money at all? We can use it for whatever we want to within the school,
For any lawful,
finances?
yes, sir, for any lawful purpose and any educational purpose that we would normally use our operational budget for, it falls within that.
Generally is for capital projects, though, generally speaking.
That's usually what it ends up getting spent on: campuses, security, those types of things.
And you say this is a small budget compared to other superintendents' contingency budgets?
For a district our size.
Yes. For
Really?
a district.
Like how much is a normal budget then? For anybody else, you have an idea just off the cuff?
My last district was quite a bit smaller, and he had a $500,000 contingency budget. So it was like a third of the size or a quarter of the size. So.
Yeah. So it'd probably be, just to give an example though, it'd probably be unfair to name other districts, but one district recently moved the superintendent's authority from $50,000, which is my current limit, to $200,000. So they could spend $200,000 on any of those particular items that I just described. Nothing is spent out of this budget without coming to the board that exceeds $50,000 anyway.
And he's never spent all of it since I've been here. He always has some left over at the end of the year,
Did
too.
you say your budget was 50,000? Is that what
My spending cap.
Oh, cap? Okay.
For
So
any-
out of this, what we got there, 3 million? Is that what we're looking at right there? Or
No,
is that
sir.
separate years?
That's over years. The first year was 1.2 million, and this year it's 500,000.
That's a lot of money.
It's a $300+
district.
million budget.
And again, we don't exhaust the full contingency in a year.
Right. There's usually funds left, just depending on what happens throughout the year, the needs that come up. And in our fund balance, yes, sir. Mm-hmm. But
So this is built into the budget so that
So why wouldn't we put this in our general fund balance since it's used for the same stuff?
it prevents us from having to come to the board for a budget amendment when those needs come up.
I'm just curious because like somebody brought up, we need to have the internal audits with all like there's money here, money there, money there. That kind of concerns me a little bit after hearing that, especially.
It's standard.
It's a lot of money, though.
It is a lot. I agree. And it has the same oversight as any other, budget that we have by department or anything else. It follows the same standards.
Right.
Anything over 50,000, has to come to the board and that sort of thing. So, but it's adopted. It's baked in. It's baked in just like, instruction is baked in. It's baked in just like plant maintenance and operations and that sort of thing. But yeah, he has surrendered quite a bit over the years too. It was over $1 million. Now it's 500,000 every year.
It aligns with the reduction we've done with administration reduction. We've done
Right.
with all personnel costs across the district. We've trended downward with all of our expenses.
And this don't include capital improvement projects? Like
No, sir. That's a totally separate fund.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just curious.
This is just general fund right here.
Right.
And so here you have the debt service fund. We have maintained an adequate fund balance after we make our debt payments. The approved bond refunding is still in progress and will be updated as soon as we complete that calculation. Debt obligations remain well managed, so we're trending well, and we'll have a sufficient fund balance in this fund at the end of the year. Our food service fund remains within the 3-month operating reserve. We're ensuring that there's no interruption in our nutrition service to the students. As you can see on the federal funding line, it's a little bit less than the other revenues due to the government shutdown and the lag in revenues coming in, but it should be coming, it is coming in.
It's just a timing
It's just a
difference.
timing
Yeah.
difference. Yes, ma'am. Here is the capital improvement, a screenshot of the capital improvement plan. And as you can see here, this plan is to support facilities and infrastructure priorities. The revenues, they are from the 313 agreements, which are starting to expire. So you can see a revenue trend that is gradually going down. It's declining.
Mhm.
It was requested to show the land inventory that the district has. This is all the vacant land that we currently own, with the exception of any tax foreclosures. The land is held for future growth in the district and long-range planning.
And I wanted to go ahead and point out, this is a request of the board at the last school board meeting. Also, Ms. David and her team, the community engagement team, created this document for the board. You'll have one sitting right there at your seat that will incorporate all of these items in there for you.
This concludes the financial overview. Are there any questions?
So I got a question. It's a hard question, and I don't mean to bring this up right now, but this contingency budget that we have, y'all said that, or Randy said that the board has to approve it. Who approved to put that fence up around Highlands Elementary over there? Who approved that money to do that?
I did.
We didn't?
So yes, I'm sorry, the budget for the bond was approved for fencing for the district. The recent adjustment to the Highlands, repositioning a fence at that campus, I approved at the request of the board.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
I don't remember that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll move on to item number 11, action items, consideration of consent agenda. Dr. O'Brien.
Yes, the administration brings before the board this evening the consideration of consent agenda items as presented in action items 11A1. Approve the donation from Port of Houston to support the maritime program. 2, establish non-business days in accordance with House Bill 3033, the 88th legislative session in 2023. Number 3, library materials. Number 4, joining commercial card consortium. Number 5, ratification of work authorization under master agreement for program management services. Number 6, second option to extend CSP number 24-004 for athletic supplies, equipment, sporting goods, and related items. Number 7, award for CSP number 26-001, audiological and audiometric equipment, supplies, and related services. Number 8, second option to extend CSP 24-005, awards, trophies, plaques, and related items. Number 9, award for CSP number 26-002, special education equipment, supplies, and related items. Number 10, second option to extend CSP number 24-002 for spiritware, promotional, and commemorative items. Number 11, first option to extend RFP number 24-09 for beverage vending services and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute the final negotiated contract. Number 12, property foreclosures. Number 13, superintendent expenditures. Number 14, budget amendments. Administration brings the consent agenda items to the board for approval.
Thank you, Dr. O'Brien. Are there any items that any board member would like to pull for discussion or separate consideration? Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Yep, if it's a simple one. Okay, seeing as that we're not going to pull any, I'll entertain a motion at this time to approve consent agenda items 1 through 14 wholly.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Clem and a second by Mrs. Guy to approve consent agenda items 1 through 14. At this time, I'll open it up for discussion.
Go ahead, you go first.
The property foreclosure, these are items that we are foreclosing on besides what the county
We have our attorney, Mr. Benoit, here. He can speak to item number 12.
12, yeah. Yeah.
So these are properties that we have already foreclosed on.
Okay.
As you know, there are various taxing entities on all of the properties within Goose Creek. We, along with Lee College, on most of our properties, we've got the city of Baytown, and then depending on where it falls across county lines, would either be Harris County and the countywide jurisdictions or Chambers County. On these, we took these to tax sale. There were no bidders at the first sale, and so what is before the board this evening is authorizing us to put these out for resale to try to stimulate bidding. On the first sale, we're limited in how low we can go on the prices. On the resale, we have a little more flexibility. And so, but that requires the board to approve these going to the constables for another sale, a resale.
Thank you. All right. Very good. Mr. Clem? Yeah, on budget amendments,
Item number
14.
Thank you, Mr. Benoit. Ms. Price?
I should have just asked you to stay. You can get some steps in. So tonight's amendments are specifically, what, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the notes?
Yes,
okay. The increase in funding from local and state says it's because of House Bill 2, but didn't we already do that the night we approved the budget, then amended it? Or is this even more?
That's the one we approved on June 19th.
But we're just now putting it where we can see it.
Every time we get the budget amendments, it reflects all the prior approved ones.
Uh-huh.
So we're only looking at approving 6 through 9 tonight.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So there it shows in the.
But both of them say 7, 8 are part of what we're approving tonight. Right at the very top, revenues, local and state.
So the increase would be the, the House Bill 2 Regional Day School. That's a new funding.
So they kicked in another little bit.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
that is for our
good
deaf
news.
program.
Now, under expenditures, 11 instruction, why 2.44 million more? I mean, where is that going?
We have our encumbrances from last year, the items that were purchased from last year that were not received and paid. So that's a portion of it, which is number 7. Number 6, I'm sorry. Number 7 is the other big portion, which is the expenditures that are offset with that revenue that we're receiving from the state.
Are these undelivered items?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how long do we have to wait for them before we can cancel the order and say time's up? I mean, we're just negative money waiting on somebody to deliver something that we may or not need now if it was ordered on last year's budget.
Well, they are POs that roll forward, if you're speaking about the encumbrances, and projects that are ongoing. They're not necessarily one thing or one, they're projects also, and
like what?
Maintenance, and, every department has a purchase order encumbrance roll for anything that's open at the end of the year. So if it's not completed at the end of the year, because if we were to close all those purchase orders and release all those funds, then we'd have to come back and open new ones and do budget amendments for it. You see what I'm saying? And so it wouldn't be, the continuity would be lost.
So when departments and teachers and department heads and campus principals get the thing in February or March that says spend this or lose it, we're going to close it, that doesn't count for administrative things.
It's a lot of maintenance projects and that sort of thing, because a lot of those are in the summertime. A lot of those are when school is out.
Hey, the summertime's over. I mean, I just don't understand why there's such a huge carryover from last year and we're halfway through school.
Majority of these have been received already. It's just the delay in timing of getting the budget amendments complete and done. So
All
they
right.
probably were received between July
So
and
when you bring me this
October.
in March, I won't see that,
Yes, sir.
or whatever the next quarter is.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So is that going to be the same story at 51? Maintenance
51
and
are summer
operations?
projects, which are, most of the encumbrances have already been received or completed, and it's just a delay in having the encumbrance added back to their budget. Yes, sir.
Okay, so
So like for an item,
hang on.
like for an item that's covered under
Okay,
insurance?
Number 6, under the reference number, says there's 1.169 million carry forward from last year.
So they rolled over July 1,
Okay,
and they
so
probably were received and paid.
And the 2 places I've asked questions about, we've got $3 million of increase. So it's not all carry forward.
In Function 11, the expenditures are also for the deaf school, the House Bill 2 Regional Day School increase. There's expenditures within the deaf school that we're allotting as well, that are offset by the revenue increase above. So the 2.4 million, or 2.4 million in revenue above, that's for the deaf school, which used to be in Fund
So
435.
all 1.6 up there in local is for the deaf school?
The 1.6 in local, which is our member districts money, that for the students that come from other districts for the deaf program. And then the 749 is what the state gives us for that day school.
All right.
And the Function 11 and a few other functions have funding for expenditures.
So if that
Offset
had
that.
had its own little note, I would.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm just for the future.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, out in the public, I'm looking at all these numbers down here. Out in the public, we hear the district adopted a $3.5 million deficit budget. Oh no, now it's $6.5 million deficit. Oh no, now it's a positive number. Oh, we found $3.5 million somewhere. Where are we really on our budgeting process? Are we still operating in the red, or are we in the black, or where are we?
Now that we've gotten some of the legislation and rules handed down, and some of these numbers are more refined, that's why at the House Bill 2, the teacher raise portion of that did give us an increase, so we got a little bit of a boon there, and we are looking like somewhere around breaking even.
Is that the 1.3 that's
1.3,
highlighted?
yeah, I mean 1.3, that,
So I can go to Walmart tomorrow and say we're operating in the black.
We're operating in the black.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Now we're only in October as of this, though.
Don't burst my bubble. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, that is
But I
correct.
think
though.
it's important to point out, we adopt the budget before we have the rules from the commissioner.
Yes. Right. That's very difficult. And we went very conservative. That's why I want to, under promise and over deliver instead of, the opposite. So, but yeah, we're looking good. And in fact, for this fiscal year end, even though we don't have our financials yet because of the compliance supplement being delayed, well, we do have it now as of Thanksgiving week, but it came in late this year. But we're going to have the same situation this year. We're going to be right at break even, maybe a little bit of a surplus. So looking good.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Any further questions on the consent agenda, items 1 through 14?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor? Show of hands. Motion passes unanimously. Move on to item B, future board agenda items, board training, board meetings. Future board agenda items. Does any board member have anything they want to see or add? Hearing.
More accountability data.
All right. Mr. Clem, I know you're serious about that. If you have anything specific that we can forward on to Dr. Jackson, let Shirley pass that on.
I was being very serious. Maybe we could hear from some of our higher performing schools and see if we get the same support questions answered in the same manner. That would be super cool if we did.
Would it be possible to discuss an internal audit?
I think we could look at that. We could talk about it. All right, item number 2, board training. I am not aware of anything coming up. Is anyone else? And then item number 3.
Know anything about winter governance yet? Great, thank you.
That's before spring break.
March 4 through 7. And then I'd like the board to keep in mind as we onboard a new superintendent, I'm sure there'll be some opportunities for Team of 8 trainings coming up. Once we start talking more about that, just kind of have that on your radar as we learn to work as a new Team of 8 with Dr. Rodriguez.
Yeah, that's fine. Get a head start.
Absolutely. And then the last thing, board meetings. We have future board meetings on January 20th, February 9th, and February 23rd. All right, at this time, the board will now recess into closed session pursuant to one or more of the following sections of Texas Government Code. Sections 551.071, .072, .073, .074, .075, .076, .082, .083, .084, .087, and .089. No action will be taken while the board is in closed session. The time is now 9:30 p.m. In the open session, the time is now 11:23 p.m. and no action was taken while the board was in closed session. We are on item 11E, consideration of personnel. Dr. O'Brien.
Mr. President, administration brings before the board this evening consideration of personnel. We would ask that you approve elections and accept resignations and retirements as presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Clem and a second by Mrs. Guy to approve elections as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by a show of hands. Seeing 7, 4, and 0 against, the motion passes.
Administration then brings before the board to approve administrative elections for the Assistant Chief of Police, Trey Morris.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Clem and a second by Mrs. Barat Timms to approve the Assistant Police Chief. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please signify by a show of hands to approve. Seeing 7, 4, and 0 against, that motion passes.
Item F, consider and take possible action to terminate term contract of teacher Evan Core for good cause related to contract abandonment.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Renteria and a second by Mr. Clem to approve item F, to terminate the contract of teacher Evan Core for good cause related to contract abandonment. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by show of hands. Seeing 7, 4, and 0 against, that motion passes.
The final item from administration is to consider and take possible action on parent grievance appeal.
I move that the board deny the appeal and uphold the decision at level 2.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Clem and a second by Mrs. Guy to deny the appeal as presented. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, please signify approval by a show of hands. Seeing 7, 4, and 0 against, the motion passes. Having seen no further business before this board and Dr. O'Brien's final board meeting, this is bittersweet. This is so bittersweet. Any final words?
Best wishes.
And I'm going to miss Randy, Dr. O'Brien. He was the best superintendent during graduation. He made me laugh. And his famous Dr. Seuss speech. And I'm going to give you a couple of words from Dr. Seuss. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. You're off to a great place. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. Dr. Seuss.
Thank you, Mr. Renteria.
We love you, Randy.
Thank you, Mr. Renteria. Appreciate you.
And now, having no further business before this board, Dr. O'Brien, gavel us out.